Greetings. If I asked you what you wanted to be as a child, what would be your answer? Let me take a wild guess. A doctor, an engineer, photographer, a culinary artist, something crazy, right? For me, the answer was always simple. A teacher. Well, I would rather become an English teacher. That was my idea. And that was the goal I set on to when I was in 8th grade. And I had the simple formula cracked down, how to become an English teacher. You do your 8th grade, you do your 10th grade, you do PUC, right? 11th and 12th grade in arts or humanities. You do your undergraduation, post-graduation, and then finally a PhD. Thus began my journey. Little did I know right after my 10th grade that everybody is going to question me, Manali, are you dumb? Why are you taking arts? A lot of judgment, a lot of questioning, but I handled it, and to make things worse, I also decided to learn German. Little did I know, those 2 years of studying humanities is going to change my life forever. Also, adding up the German fact. 2 years later, I found myself in the streets of Edinburgh talking about German. 2 years later, I also found myself in the streets of Bern talking about German literature and the influence and the nuances of it. Post that, I started my journey of undergraduation, college, yes. And my combination was very deadly. What was it? It was, of course, English. It was psychology. And it was, can you guess? It was journalism. A deadly trio combination of studying this led me to working in a UN project in Sri Lanka. Now, while I was in Sri Lanka, I understood that there's more to life than to your phones, your ambitions, your day-to-day goings. Having a family is also a privilege because I worked in shelters, women's shelters to be specific. Came back for that trip, and then I continued my academics again, went to Romania for another project. By now, I thought I had cracked it. I'm a global citizen, I know what I'm doing, I know how I'm doing it, right? But fun part, it never goes according to your plan. Not only was I working with 10 other people from 10 different countries, but we were working in the suburbs of Balkan region, a place where nobody understands English, a place slightly racist towards people of color. But that one experience made me realize that my roots is something that is part of my identity, which is why I look the way I am, I talk the way I do, and I am the way I am. I continued my journey of undergraduation, and in my 3rd year, that is technically a last year of degree, I found myself saying every Wednesday at 2 p.m., hello, Bengaluru. Naan im host and dost, RJ Manali on Radioactive 90.3, and you are listening to something very interesting today. Yes, in my 3rd year of undergraduation, I worked as a radio jockey through a year where I interviewed people. Podcast is cool right now, but we were doing it way back then. Of course, it was a community radio station where all my co-workers had terrific stories about themselves and led me through hand by hand every episode. Finished my undergrad, half of the formula was solved. Next was post-graduation. Started my post-graduation, understood other nuances of literature, started teaching, did my first job teaching the youngest kids where everybody called me Miss Manali, and that's why you still see it on the screen, that is Miss Manali. Anything and everything might happen to me in this world, but nobody can take that title away from me because that became part of my identity. Every time I would step into the class, kids would just pop up, being happy that, oh, it's an English class. Just like how I used to pop up in my English classes. The journey continued. Right now, I'm in my last stretch of PhD. Yes, I'm going to be a doctor soon, so it might change. Next time you meet me, it might be Dr. Manali. Not might, it will be Dr. Manali. But the funny part is, when I was told that I have to talk about breaking barriers, I had to talk about myself. And I try to remember every instance that has ever happened with me, right? And I realized that breaking barriers was so easy for me because I had an entire village with me to break the barriers for me. It started with students who went out of their way to understand what I'm trying to say, who came to my level to experiment with me, along with me. It also started with people who used to host me. This is a picture from Turkey, and the people you see here are the two beautiful girls that you see here are migrants from Iran. I carry their story with me. The guy you see is somebody from Germany who has incredible stories to tell about identity. You're seeing my team here, which I worked with in Czech Republic, where all of us went to the tiniest villages across Slovakia and Czech Republic, where the population was hardly 200 or so. You're also seeing me with my lovely kids. Yes, they were a handful. They're incredibly naughty. You see me with my families who have given me strength. Now, we might not look at the same color, but what you're not seeing is how they have treated me as their own daughter. I still call them my host daddy and my host mommy. You see me with strangers who have always stood up for me, no matter what. Because in unknown spaces, there comes unknown problems and fears which you don't know how to deal with. And strangers have stood up for me. You see me again with kids who have asked me incredible questions and very uncomfortable ones too. Oh, you're from India. We heard you wash your toilet and not wipe it off. We heard that you ride on elephants and you talk with snakes. And in those moments, as I said, I went back to my roots and I knew exactly how to deal with this because at the end of the day, I am Miss Manali and they're just kids. All these wonderful experiences have shaped me and identified myself as somebody who has not broken any barrier, but who has been a catalyst for people to breaking their barriers. You're seeing my friends from across the world. You're seeing my people from across the world who is my village. So every time when people say that it takes a village to raise a child, it really does. Believe me when I say this. We all hold responsibility for each and every person sitting in this room. Every time I try to say something about my life, I carry the stories along with me. It's not just me, it's every person who is sitting here who has influenced me in some or the other way. You see my parents, you see my partner. I would like to tell you here all that it's been an incredible journey. And yes, I did not raise myself. I did not break any barriers. It was the village who stood by me who have broken a lot of barriers. So it's a community project. Being an individual in this world comes with a lot of support. So do that. Do support people. Be kinder to each other because you know what? World is not a terrible place. It's a lovely place. You just have to have an open mind. A little bit grit, okay? Yes, there are going to be uncomfortable instances, but a little bit grit will help you a lot. So that's my message. Thank you.